Morning. Morning guys, we're at Monmouth Coffee, a very well-known coffee chain in London, and right opposite us is the legendary Borough Market, a very popular market in London that has 1,000 years of history. Over the years, it has gone through a few iterations as well as changed locations. It has been at this current location since 1756. A few decades ago, it used to be a wholesale market, but I think now it's more like an artisan market where they champion sustainable food production. Anyway, Cred, how is the cannoli?
It's decent, but it's a bit overly sweet to me.
Okay, coffee done. Let's finish the cannoli and head over to Borough Market. This is a really happening market. You've got lots of things going on. It's a covered market and span across quite a huge area. You've got all sorts of vibrant vegetables, fruits of different types. We've got seafood, prawns, different types of fish. Oh, there's even a monkfish. I finally know what monkfish looks like now. It doesn't look overly handsome. And you even got a crab sort of doing acrobatics with his two lobster friends. You've got butcher as well, people grinding up minced meat, chops, all sorts of meats. Also some artisanal products, you've got cheese of all kinds, and of course the most important, food. We've got lots of different types of eateries, people grilling bacon, you've got hamburgers, paella, mushroom risotto, all sorts of traditional UK snacks, sweet snacks, rolls as well, pasta. And that is precisely what we're going to do. We're going to eat around the market, try out a few popular stalls. Hello there. So we're going to start with some traditional UK snacks, namely the sausage roll and Scotch egg. Let's go. We are at the Ginger Pig, well known for their pork sausages as written on the signboard above. And I was surprised when I saw their sausage rolls. They were enormous! Goodness, the only sausage rolls that I've seen are from Pret a Manger, and it's like, you know, a normal sausage roll, and this is huge, it's packed full of meat. By the way, a sausage roll is basically sausage meat in the middle. In this case, lots of sausage meat, and then it's wrapped in a beautiful, crisp puff pastry. This shop is established in 1998, and I think they start off as a butcher because they do have a butchery right next door as well. Cutting up some meats, they have chicken, they have duck, they have got ham, sausages, black pudding, anything really, mutton. So, we are going to start off with a Scotch egg. Yeah, I know it's very anticlimactic, but let me explain. So what is a Scotch egg? A Scotch egg is basically a chicken egg wrapped in sausage meat. This is really huge, breaded and then fried or baked. And this, I think rumor has it that Fortnum & Mason's, a luxury departmental store in UK, created the Scotch egg for their travellers on the road back in 1738. By the way, Fortnum & Mason is a really old luxury department store with, I think, more than 300 years of history. At Ginger Pork, they serve it the traditional way, they serve it cold because you're supposed to have it on the road. However, I think in other shops, you do get them warm as well. So let's bite into this. I think it's going to be really meaty. I can feel the egg shaking with it. Let's go. I could definitely taste the spices within the sausage. It tastes sort of like a Cumberland sausage. The breadcrumbs up top, you taste some oil fragrance, but because it's cold, it's not exactly crispy. And because it's cold, it's sort of weird in a way. I did check with a lady and she told me that traditionally they do eat it cold because it's meant for travellers on the road. Anyway, it's a lot of meat, a really huge Scotch egg. And I haven't gotten to the egg yet. I'm going to try and bite off more of that meat to get to the egg. There is an egg, and perhaps because it's cold, and you taste the spiced sausage, which is really good. You don't really taste much of an egg, you do taste the eggy yolk flavor. Actually, I think the meat is really flavorful. Just that, probably you should buy this, and then you bring it home and heat it up. It might taste a lot better. But right now it's alright. The flavor of the sausage is really good though. I need to emphasize that the flavor of the sausage is really good, even when it's cold. Alright, I'm going to save this for later. Let's grab the sausage roll.
Ooh, the sausage roll is still warm. Smells good. The meat is succulent and juicy, well spiced, and I taste There's some rosemary.
And you can see the meat portion is very generous. The portion is very big with a thin slice of puff pastry.
And the puff pastry is crispy, flaky, with a nice buttery fragrance.
Okay, I don't think we can finish this because we got a few more spots to go. Let's grab something sweet now. We are at Bread Ahead Bakery, very well known for their filled donuts. In fact, it's that stall located right over there, that blue signboard. And they've got all sorts of filled donuts. They've got raspberry, cheesecake, lemon curd, chocolate. But we got the OG, vanilla custard. Anyway, since Quet is a sweet expert, she's gonna eat this. So here you go, Quet.
The donut, soft, airy, fluffy, sweet, with a very nice oil fragrance. And the vanilla custard is smooth, creamy, not overly sweet. It pairs very well with the donut because the donut is already sweet. Delicate donut. I enjoy it very much. Time to head to the next one.
Guys, something unexpected happened. So we were on our way to the next spot, which is called Hop's Meat Roast, and we were going to try some pulled pork sandwich, and we got stopped while we were filming by staff from Borough Market, and she told us that apparently we cannot film without written permission from Borough Market, even if the store owners agree for us to film them. And actually we have checked on their website before we arrived in London, and we did write in a couple of times, but they did not respond to us. And we saw people filming when we first visited Borough, and we thought it should be fine because the owner said yes. So yeah, apparently you can't unless you have written permission. But she was a really nice person. I was brought to the understanding that whatever has been filmed up to that point can be used, but please stop filming now. So what we're going to do is we're going to have to unfortunately skip Hop's Food Meat Roast, and we are going to move on to the next spot, which serves some handmade fresh pasta. It's located right outside Borough Market, and it's called Padella. Okay, even though the transition was really quick, we actually waited quite a while for this. This is a rather popular spot, and you actually got to come earlier. They open at 11:30, you need to drop by before 11, and then you scan your phone and QR code to get into the reservation system. So we are now sitting on the outside. It's a little bit chilly, but we got these nice warm heater lights shining right on me, so it's, you know, it helps a little bit. The reason why we chose to be seated outside is because the inside is quite noisy. They have really loud music going on. So for the sake of the video, we're sitting here, and this place is very well known for their fresh pastas. I think we'll probably order one of their signature dishes, the pappardelle with 8 hours texture beef shin ragu. Hey guys, I know I'm sitting in a very awkward position because the sun is shining on my face. So I gotta sit like this. Anyway, the beef shin ragu is here. Very unpretentious, very straightforward, simple looking. You've got the pappardelle, which is obviously fresh meat, and then you've got the ragu, which I think has disintegrated into this dish. I believe the shavings up top are probably Parmigiano Reggiano or maybe Parmesan. So let's try the pappardelle first. The fresh pasta is cooked perfectly. When you go with fresh pasta, it can never be al dente, because al dente requires dry pasta. But this fresh pasta, you got a nice bounce, a nice chew. It's cooked right. The pappardelle is really thin as well. I'm surprised. Good pasta. The pasta is really cooked very well. Beautiful bounce. And the ragu. Most of them are disintegrated into the dish, but you can still find tiny chunks here. Oh, it's tender. It's tender. Meaty. The flavor is very simple and straightforward. It's basically a tomato-based flavor. Exactly what a ragu tastes like. If possible, I would have liked it to have a little bit more depth, but the pasta itself is cooked really nice. And the cheese. couldn't really taste that much of the cheese. I'm not sure if it is Parmigiano Reggiano or it's just Parmesan. Perhaps the dish is a more flavor-heavy dish, so I couldn't taste much of the cheese. But ultimately, it's the pasta that makes the difference. It's cooked really well. Beautiful texture. Beautiful texture. I'll be honest, at first I thought this was going to be a drainage trap, but I think it's really nice. It's quite good. Hey guys, we are seated at this area. It's like a lane between two buildings. It's about 5 minutes walk from Borough Market, and there are these interesting writings on the floor. It's really nice, and the place is quiet, so we have decided to do our playing time here. I understand that this episode is a little short. It's a shame really, the fact that we can't continue to film in Borough Market. However, it is what it is. So let's start our playing time. Let's talk about ginger pig. I think the key point to ginger pig is the sausage filling. The sausage is done really well, be it in the Scotch egg or in the sausage roll. It's succulent, it's juicy, it's very well spiced. Basically, you can tell that they are obviously butchers, so the quality of the meat is going to be good. That said, the Scotch egg that I had is cold, so even if it's really flavorful, it does feel a little icky to eat it cold, and it loses quite a lot of flair. I think it would be a lot better if you bought the Scotch egg and then you go and heat it up. I think it would taste really good, because even the yolk within is creamy, the breadcrumbs has a nice oil fragrance even though it's cold. So yeah, I would strongly suggest that you heat it up in the oven after purchasing it. Now, the sausage roll, I think it's done really well. Puff pastry is crisp, it's fragrant, and it's warm.
Yep.
But it does lean a little salty towards the end, right? This is a really generous piece. I gotta say both of them for £5 each. It's quite generous, and it feels quite worth it by London standards. And taking all that into consideration, I would say ginger pig scores an OK on the gourmet plate, which means it is some good quality sausage roll and Scotch egg a bit cold right there. I strongly recommend you trying out the sausage roll if you are in Borough Market, and if you have the means to heat up the Scotch egg, yeah, why not? Just buy it and heat it up. But do take note, it's really generous in size, so if you want to try other foods in Borough Market, bring some friends.
As for the bread ahead, the filled donut is very fresh. There is no oily aftertaste. There is even a nice oily fragrance. However, the vanilla custard, the vanilla flavor is not present enough.
Yeah, it's definitely not present enough. So even though it's a good donut, don't get me wrong, it's a good donut, but because the vanilla flavor is sort of muted, so as you take bite after bite, it feels that the excitement is very restrained. Yeah. If you had more depth, that means the vanilla flavor is more present, then perhaps it will be a more exciting donut. It's a good donut, but it's very simple in a way. And considering it's £4, it does feel a little steep for the flavor, I'll be honest.
So taking all of that into consideration, bread ahead score OK in the gourmet plate, which means it is some good quality filled donut. So if you are in Borough Market, you can try it out, but the price is a little steep.
Yep. Alright, the final spot, Padella. I think their beef shin ragu is done really well, especially the pasta. I gotta say, really authentic, fresh pasta. It's chewy and has a nice bounce to it. The shredded beef shin is tender, it's nice, but it does feel a little scarce, if I may. I think the ragu is done relatively well as well. It's got all the flavors, it's quite complex. That said, I would still hope for the flavor to have more depth, to give it that excitement, to make you pull through the dish bite after bite. Another point I want to make is in relation to their price point. I think this might be a London thing, but I feel £15 for a plate of pasta like this feels a little steep because we just came from Italy. And with that being said, Padella scores an OK on the gourmet plate, which means it is some good quality fresh pasta right there. I think it's absolutely recommended if you're in Borough Market. It's a good spot for pasta. We do feel it's a little steep though. So there you have it, our relatively short experience trying out the foods in Borough Market.
Hope you have enjoyed today's food vlog. If you did, do consider to giving us a thumbs up.
If you yet to subscribe, do consider subscribing and hitting the notification bell button. Till we eat again next week, of course, in London. Bye bye.